I think there are a series of actions that every single one of us can take to prevent a future disaster. Many of us are starting to realize that our environment is not as secure or healthy as it's supposed to be. And it reminds us that it is our duty as humans to make some changes to prevent these kind of disaster in the future that might happen.
Sustainable practices are actions taken by the government or companies in order to maintain the current physical environment and try to limit the damage done to the current physical environment. I think the importance of these practices is one, to preserve what nature has left for us, and second, to combat climate change, because over the past few decades, because of unlimited use of non-biodegradable materials and also processes like deforestation, climate change has really been exacerbated by human action. And I think the call for more sustainable practices can help combat this damage.
I think a sustainable practice is a practice that tries to limit the amount of waste and negative impacts that we do on the environment without failing to satisfy our current demands.
I think sustainable practices are just actions done by humans trying to compensate for some of the irreversible harms that humans have done to the environment. And certainly plastic straws are one of them.
There are better alternatives than paper straw, because they are the worst thing in the world, the paper straw. When you sip into it, it gets softened because of the liquid below it. And it basically means nothing. Basically, it means that you are eating papers. And I don't want to eat papers.
So the ban on plastic straws have affected my daily life in that I no longer use plastic straws because they're not available anywhere. So either the shops such as Starbucks provide you with paper straws, or they don't give you straws at all, in which case cups that come with their own straws have become a lot more popular. There are glass cups and also metal cups that come with glass straws or metal straws. And those have become a lot more popular among teenagers right now because first, shops like Starbucks give you a discount when you give them those cups. And second, they are just better than paper straws because they don't melt as easy like paper straws.
I'm not a huge drink person, so I don't use straws that often. So the ban on plastic straws hasn't really affected my life in any way.
And changing plastic straws to paper straws didn't give me a lot of good experiences. Because I don't like to use paper straws. It's not very useful because it gets wet very easily and it doesn't feel very good using paper straws.
For some people, maybe it affects their daily life negatively, but for me, it doesn't matter that much, I would say.
I think, first of all, banning the plastic straws is definitely something that is sustainable, because we all know that plastic is a huge part of pollution and environmental damaging because it cannot be easily decomposed. But I also need to say that it is something very severe that it did affect consumerism in Shenzhen. The food companies and the drinks companies did gain a lot of complaints towards the issue of paper straw. So I would say that it is damaging the consumerism in Shenzhen.
I consider a complete ban of plastic. I think if it can be implemented successfully, it would be a sustainable development. However, that would take a lot of work. And if it does not happen successfully, it would not be a successful, sustainable development, since so much of our lives is based on plastic, whether it is the hole puncher that is right in front of me, or that pen holder that is right in front of me, those are all made of plastic. So if we get rid of plastic entirely, that is going to change our lives completely. And if that does not happen, if it does not go well, it's going to be disastrous for our lives, and that is not going to promote sustainable development. However, if we can get use of plastic entirely, then it would be a large step towards combating climate change. For example, like the ban of plastic straws, initially everyone just wanted to switch to paper straws, but now because paper straws are horrible straws, people tend to not even like paper straws, so they abandon straws in general, which has I guess been an unexpected benefit of banning plastic straws in the first place.
I don't think a complete ban on all plastic is a very sustainable development. I mean, I think some goods that we have, like Ziploc bags, need plastic because they can protect and they can preserve our food, right? And since it's plastic, it's very durable, so we can have a very thin bag. If we don't have plastic, I think many of the goods like these Ziploc bags would be gone, or at least gone for some time until we find a replacement for plastic. And if that happens, I think that's kind of like taking away from our current living standards, so that's not that sustainable.
And I also think that banning plastic straws might not be an efficient way to, may not be an efficient sustainable practice, because the goal of limiting plastic straws is aiming to reduce the number of plastic used. However, paper straws doesn't necessarily mean less plastics are used, because when you use paper, then you have to also consider the pollution that results from cutting off the trees, transportation of papers. All of that accounts.
A complete ban of plastic is a sustainable development because, for example, if we're considering the production of plastic, it releases a lot of harmful chemicals into the air. And if we consider plastic waste, it harms the ocean. So overall, I'll consider the ban a sustainable development. And like many of my friends, many Shenzhenese don't like the idea of changing plastic straws into paper straws, and thus I believe that the consumerism, especially in the area of drinks like boba tea and other drinks, will decrease.
As for the suggestion, I think we have to find the balance between consumerism and sustainability. For example, I once saw in China something called disposable plastic straw, where it's not exactly plastic, but it feels like plastic. However, it will be easily disposed, as they claimed. So if the sellers are not lying about this will be a great way to balance out the concept of these two.
I guess is to promote more of the PLA biodegradable straws, because those are a lot better than the paper straws that Starbucks give, and they are just in general more well-liked among people while also being biodegradable. That helps the environment.
Regarding plastic straws, I think a complete ban is fine, because for plastic, there is a replacement for plastic already, like paper. Paper straws, in my opinion, work just as well as plastic straws. So I think completely banning plastic straws is fine.
So I think in the future, what we should think about is some more efficient way to reduce plastic used, instead of just randomly reducing plastic use in some of the items. Because looking around me right now, there are a lot of things that are made of plastic, and just by changing plastic straws to paper straws doesn't necessarily mean you are sustaining the environment.
I don't have any suggestions for future development on plastic straws in Shenzhen, because, well, for me, because I'm neutral on using whatever straw, I would say that I support the idea of banning plastic straws in Shenzhen.